it's just, there's all this pressure, you know? And sometimes it feels like it's right up on me and I can just feel it, like literally feel it in my head, and it's relentless. And I don't know if it's going to stop. I mean, that's the thing that scares me the most, is that I don't know if it's ever going to stop.
Yeah. Well, you do have a nail in your head.
It is not about the nail.
Are you sure? Because, I mean, I'll bet if we got that out of there...
Stop trying to fix it.
No, I'm not trying to fix it. I'm just pointing out that maybe the nail is causing...
You always do this. You always try to fix things when what I really need is for you to just listen.
No, see, I don't think that is what you need. I think what you need is to get the nail
See, you're
out.
not even listening now.
Okay, fine. I will listen. Fine.
It's just... Sometimes it's like there's this achy... I don't know what it is. And I'm not sleeping very well at all. And all my sweaters are snagged. I mean, all of them.
Yeah, that sounds really hard.
It is. Thank you. Ow!
Oh, come on. If you would just...
Don't...
Try to see things my way. Do I have to keep on talking till I can go on?
Ok, grupo. En español nos vemos en un ratito y si quieren regresar a preguntas y respuestas, aquí los esperamos. All right. All right. So I love to interact. I know we're in different parts of the United States, but I love to interact. So I love that you're keeping your camera on. But how many, if you can raise your hand, how many of you have felt like the nail is right there? Let me just take it. Let me just help you. Some of you, I love, you're looking at somebody else. I love it. How many of you have like identified with the other person? It's like, there's more than just a nail here. And yes, it seems obvious to you that this will fix everything, but there's something deeper going on. Yeah. I want to begin a set of conversations with all of us that I think are gonna help us in this art that I've titled The Art of Taking Off Your Glasses. The art of seeing issues, not just from my point of view, from the point of view of something that can help or can be helpful, something that can land, something that can make the relationship better. Now, I call it the art of taking off our glasses because we all have like a different, talents and different ways that we learn how to manage with life in general. And the idea in this series for me is to just explore what's it like to acknowledge, to see that you and I have filters, that you and I have a worldview through which we see our problems, our relationships, and even our relationship with God. Now, we all have a way to see the world. There's some people that are very optimistic in the way they see the world. Like they get fired and they're like, oh, I didn't get fired. I just have a lot of free time, very optimistic. And there's other people who see the world very pessimistic, right? Or like when you see a child, a kid, they may see the world in a very curious and innocent way. And we all see our life, we all see everything that's happening around us through our own lens. And I believe, and this is going to be the challenge for many of us that either grew up in a religion or Christianity or any kind of a spirituality, and those of us who perhaps didn't. But I believe that a spiritual growth is is part of bringing awareness to things that happen in our past. I believe that spiritual growth is connected not just to attaining something or achieving something or even becoming someone, because sometimes we make a spiritual growth all about becoming something else. What if it's more about recognizing? What if it's more about layers of our lives that constantly get to be peeled off? There is this ancient text called the Talmud, and it is a bunch of Jewish proverbs. And one of these Jewish proverbs says this: we don't see things as they are, we see them as we are. And I think this awareness can be so powerful for all of us. Some of us have explored some of this awareness through therapy. We have explored this through spiritual practices, meditation. And is this, a lot of times these practices take you perhaps to your childhood. A lot of you know that recently I was part of this retreat from On-Site, and my passion and what I want to do is share some of the things that I learned. And it's not that I finished something, it's not that I completed and I'm very good at what I'm about to share. Some of these things are very new to me and they're raw, or I am feeling pretty raw emotionally. But I want to share them with you. Not because I want to take you to a destination, because I want you to be part of the journey with me. I want to bring I'm going to give you a couple examples of some of those filters that you and I have. One of the very first filters we were put on is, and I'm just going to use glasses, right? Because it's called the art of wearing glasses. And a lot of these glasses are my wife's, so they might be a little funky. Okay? But we have a family of origin. And that gives us our own set of glasses. We inherit a perspective of ways to see the world from our parents, from ancestors. Think of those moments where they introduce you to how you see people, or how do you view family, or what's important in the home. That gave you a perspective to see the world. And another perspective we got is whatever religion you grew up with, whatever set of either being a spiritual or non-spiritual, atheist, agnostic, that gave you a worldview. And for some of you, it was very helpful. It helped you cope, survived. For others of us, it came with a little bit of trauma. You had to unravel some of your spirituality because of things that were taught to you that eventually, as an adult, you discover or rediscover. That gave us a language. That gave us a way we communicated with a God, or our God, or the creator of this world. How about our ethnicity? And I'm sorry, just gonna go wild here. That gave it a culture background, how we see food, music, traditions, our heritage. Some of you are like, David, I cannot pay attention to you right now. That's the way you look. That gave us even a way to see the human race, different skin colors. Some of us were come from a worldview where we're like, no, we don't see anybody differently. We're gonna see all the same. And some of us were like, well, I'm gonna pay more attention of seeing and enjoying their differences. I'm actually gonna elevate their differences because they're different than me, and I'm gonna acknowledge that. and I'm gonna value them. Others of us also have the way we see finances. That's another filter. We grew up with money or perhaps with no money, and it shaped our worldview, our reality. How do we see our jobs? How do we see groups and our social economic groups, and how do we relate to them? And the last one that actually, it's not the last one. No, I skipped one. Probably the most important one. Gender. This has a massive implication of how we see each other. The gender that male or female, or any kind of how we see and interact with the people around us, the perspective that we have. All of those things affect how we see the world. And the last one, that I leave as last because I'm gonna try to put all of them at once because it's like, if I can do this. How about our politics? That's like a weird one, right? Because okay, all right, I should stop. Because it's like, it gives us how we see news, how we see what's happening around the world, how we see even other countries, who's right, who's wrong, who is in the sight of God, who is not. All those things gives us a way to interact with everyone around us. And if we're not aware of all of this, whenever we have a conversation with someone, it'll be so easy to try to say, oh, let me help you because I got the answer that you need. And I want to bring awareness that none of these things are good or bad. And this is not necessarily who you are. It's certainly how you were brought up, and it has shaped your worldview. But the beauty of where we're going to go for the next 3 to 4 weeks is, what if we start recognizing these things? And whenever we're looking in any conversation that we may have, we acknowledge them first and begin the art of taking off our glasses. When we do this, we'll begin to see people more, not the way they were brought up, but just their humanity. And we'll begin to see ourselves more than just all this set of filters, but how God sees us as humans. This dynamic becomes very helpful. If we learn to have this awareness, it becomes so helpful because we all have seen or have felt stuck in certain areas in our lives. Or we may have a conversation with someone and we feel they're close off about a certain topic. Maybe you have this experience with a family member and you feel they're either disconnected or they're heading to somewhere where you know they're gonna get hurt or it's gonna affect all the people around them. And I wanna kind of give you good news, and probably for some of you maybe actually bad news. Our job is never to fix other people. And I'm gonna let you on into a little secret. I just came from a retreat of group of pastors who this is a big realization that their job is not to fix people. Matthew's laughing because he knows I'm right. I had so many conversations of people who believe that our job is to remind people they're broken, rather than remind people that I'm a human and I'm loved, and they're humans who are also loved. Our job is never to change people. There's a higher being who loves people way more than you and I can love them. And actually, I believe that God is capable of that. But I don't think we can. So our mission, then you're like, David, so why are you saying all of these things? Because our mission then for the next 3 weeks, if you choose to accept this mission, our mission is simple, is to recognize our own lenses. And this is huge. This is a big deal. And I'm not saying this just to be simplistic. I think this is an invitation that, and I know in our community, not everyone, maybe we're all in a journey to see God, to see who Jesus is. But for me, this is actually an invitation that Jesus gave us. That his invitation was not about becoming someone, but be aware of something. And I want to show you that invitation. It's in a very famous passage. There's this tax collector that documented part of the story of Jesus. His name was Matthew. In Matthew in chapter 7, quotes Jesus giving a parable, and it has to do with the video that I showed you at the very beginning, and it has to do with this analogy. And what I would like to do is I'm going to read it to you. We're going to stay only in a few verses, but then I want to step back, and then I want to go deeper into the meaning of this parable. The parable says this in Matthew 7. Why do you look at a speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, when all the time there is a plank in your own eye? It uses very strong words. You hypocrite. First, take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. Now, when we read this, the interesting thing, just in the video, it's kind of, there was a nail right in the forehead, and it's uncomfortable. It's like weird to see it, and you're like, right? But this should provoke the same thing in you and I. Like when Jesus is saying this, people are like, ugh, like he's exaggerating. He's saying that there's somebody with a little, I'm just going to use like a little piece of wood in their eye, and now you have a telephone pole in yours. Like he's being very, very graphic. And this is, he's saying this is just reality. And the invitation is you and I, whenever we get so passionate with any conversation or whenever we care about anyone, what I love is this begins with this idea of brother and sister, or brother and sister, this idea that there's a strong relationship when this happens. This is not somebody that you met online. This is not somebody's comment that you want to fix online. This is actually somebody who you deeply have a relationship with. That Jesus is saying, I want to invite you to see something. There's implications here. Whenever you and I move towards someone else and notice something in their eye, the number one thing that we have to be aware of, the first thing we want to bring up is, what are my assumptions before I get to address anything with this person I'm having a conversation with? What are the glasses I have on? What are okay, how does this affect me? How I grew up? How I see faith, how I see God, my ethnicity, my background, how all of this first, I have to look at it internally. Pause, in other words. Because if you do this, then the conversation will be healing and helpful rather than destructive and counterproductive. And it's so interesting because you and I see the nail. We may see in the illustration, there is a speck. He's not saying that the speck doesn't exist. We're not minimizing anything. It's just the order and the posture when I have a conversation with someone close to me. I may see a speck, but my first step, pause, reflect. What are the filters I have on? Where can be an actual speck, a log in my own life? This is a moment that we hardly give ourselves time or space to have or to be in. We all walk around life, and with the people that we love, we may see specks and areas where they can get hurt or hurt others. But Jesus' invitation is first, we got to assume that we don't have 100% their entire story. That we must first address, what assumptions do I have? What assumptions am I coming in with in this conversation? Not just how they're behaving, not just what the conversation is about, or not even if I'm right or not, or if they're right or wrong. In the video, it's so clear because we're like, it's right there. Of course, he hurts. But that doesn't mean that he's going to get us where we want to. And this is so important because we think we see it. And Jesus' invitation is first pause, reflect in you. And the second part of this parable, the second part is once we pause and reflect, which by the way, that alone will give us humility. Then the next thing, rather than spending energy on fixing my brother, my sister, I'm going to spend some time of how God has removed or wants to remove this log in my own eye. And this will give us this kingdom mind posture. That rather that I have a tendency to be maybe in arrogance or trying to fix something, I want to move with completely zero accusations because I have to deal with this, with this big old thing I have in my eye. And this is not a moment of self-loathing. This is a moment of an inventory, self-inventory, self-evaluation. Because when you do that, especially if you do this seeing how Jesus has dealt with other people and the log in their eye, you see him dealing with love, compassion, curiosity. And this will give us the same way to deal with our brother and sister. This will give us and help us to have this art of having difficult conversations because we pause, we reflect, we see our filters, we recognize our log. Then we go to Jesus with it. He reminds us of this kingdom posture of how he's dealt with my log in the past. And the only way forward is to be in that same posture with those around us. Think about it this way. David, I have serious issues in my life. And I know I'm not the only one. Let's picture that in a call like this, one day, for some reason, you hear my deepest, most shameful secret that perhaps only a few people know, but it goes out in the public. Or think about that area that you're embarrassed about, or you're hiding, or think about that going public. Some of you will start sweating, right? That would be terrifying for all of us. And this is the beauty of what we do every Sunday. Did you know that secret, it is known? Remember last Sunday, the message by Jackie? That secret is known. When we gather together, we are a community who's recognizing that there is a God who actually knows those secrets. And this God does not condemn you. We're being witnesses of us coming together and saying, we believe in a God who sees us, knows us, our deepest secrets. They're out and exposed by this God. And yet, he embraces you. He loves you unconditionally. This parable, to me, even though we read it over and over, it reminds me of something that you practice here in our community often. Why? Because we go and talk with people in different parts of the United States, sometimes even Mexico and other parts, and we have conversations acknowledging one thing, that we are humans. And that we come together and we're witnessing that we know a God that knows us. And by reminding each other of that with humility, then, only then, recognizing our filters, recognizing our biases, recognizing how we grew up and how God has dealt with our deepest secrets. It's only there that we can go, how should I be a brother and sister to other humans? So it's not anymore, here I am and here is Jesus and here's what you're doing. It's actually, here we are. Here, wear your glasses, I wear my glasses. We have spec logs here. Here we are. And now, here is Jesus with us. This will help us, Jesus says, to see clearly. And then, only then, be there for each other. Because there's this part that he never minimizes the speck. He actually finished the parable by saying, then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eyes. There is this ability that we're going to have the conversations that you had at the beginning of this gathering and the conversations that will happen in our questions and response time. With this, practicing this way of taking of our glasses. So I want to leave you with something that may rock your world a little bit, because it's rocking my world. And I want to finish with this. We're going to move into our questions and response in a little bit, right after this meditation. But I want to give you something, because the difficult thing of what I just shared with you is, how do I put this into practice, David? Like, I hear something and I'll just respond. That's who I am. Or I see someone's problem and they're coming for help, and I just go like, well, there it is. That's your nervous system being reactive to something. So I want to leave you with something that I just learned that I'm just trying for like 3 times so far. But it's how to connect to that nervous system, to something that it was taught to me. It's called a meditation, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Remember that song? 5, 4, 3, Tom something? Major Tom. Listen to it later. Great. My kids love it too. Here we go. Our meditation is gonna be like this. 5. See 5 things around you. Whenever you feel triggered, whenever you feel angry, whenever you feel something is being reactive, and these are the areas where you're blinded. You're not seeing any of your own filters. Start 5. I'm gonna see 5 things around me. I see a table. I see a pen. I see my cup of coffee. I see a book. I see a fan. And you don't have to say it out loud. Do it internally. 4. Notice 4 things you can feel. I feel the ground beneath my feet. I feel this shirt on my skin. I feel the breeze in my face. I feel the hands in my lap. 4. 3. Listen to 3 things you can hear. I hear the traffic. I hear someone talking outside. I hear the birds singing. 2. Identify 2 smells. I smell my coffee. I smell the lotion I put on my hands. 1. Notice 1 thing you can taste. A mint. What does this has to do with anything? Because in order to not be reactive, we have to get hold of our nervous system. And Jesus invited us a lot to spend time. Whenever he prayed and went alongside, it wasn't that he was just talking and talking and talking to God. There is this separation where you have to recognize what's happening. And in all of this, you will experience emotions. You will experience connection with yourself. But most importantly, you will give yourself the opportunity to pause rather than just react. And by beginning to do this, then we can go into what I just shared with you in terms of having those moments where I identify my filter, I identify my glasses, I identify my log, and only then I can go to Jesus and remind how he has dealt with my log and how he continues dealing with the logs I keep having. And then I come alongside my brother and my sister. And I say, we're having this conversation. And let me tell you about the moments I feel that log is still there. And that, I believe, is the art of taking off our glasses. So I invite you, let's practice this. I invite you to close your eyes right now and take a deep breath. And remember, the God that I worship, He cares about my entire being, my mind, my soul, my body, my heart. He sees it all, and He loves it all. But right now, think about 5 things that you can see. And when you meditate, you can open your eyes. 5 things that you can see around you. And take a deep breath. 4 things that you feel. Three things that you hear. Identify 2 smells. Notice one taste. Father, sometimes we think that you care only of how much information we can gain about you. And we forget that you create our beautiful, amazing, surprising, capable bodies. That you gave us emotions. That when you came in the form of human, you showed those emotions, and they were all good. Even anger when it was needed. When you brought protection to those that are unfortunate. Even sadness. Compassion, empathy, love. Remind us, Lord, of how much you care for each one of us. Not what we can do for you, that you were your beloved sons and daughters. And reminds us once again of the beauty of your creation and the image bear of every human around us. So Lord, I pray that now you give us the strength and courage to this week see the world how you see the world. To invite you into all these conversations that maybe they're hard and messy. But not because you're condemning us, but because we're side by side as brothers and sisters with you in our midst. Thank you for all those moments and times that you helped me see my log. You removed it, or you used somebody else to remove it. Continue giving us the humility as a community to not be afraid of showing up really who we are and how life has been. Because there's something beautiful that happens. We can trust in you in this way and each other. It's in the powerful name of Jesus that I pray. Amen.